Welcome back, hammering buttons like crazy evil.
This ain't the end of me, all the things that I could be. This is the end of you, after all that we've been through. This ain't the end of me, all the things that I could be. This is the end of you, after all that we've been through.
Hello everybody, this is WarriorDan, and welcome to Dungeons Free. I was originally going to put together a sort of review of this title, but instead what I think I'm going to do is go through each quest one by one, showcase some of the gameplay, and offer my opinions here and throughout. So without further ado, let's get started.
The Shadow of Absolute Evil. The Shadow of Absolute Evil had crossed the sea and now sought the chosen target, a dark elf named Talia. A long, long time ago. The Absolute Evil had, in the famous predecessor to this game, subjugated the known world and defeated good. Now, in a world full of blackness and despair, it spent its days sipping cocktails from the skulls of its enemies and forging new plans over a grilled unicorn kebab. Unfortunately, there wasn't much left to forge. A few orc wedges, the occasional trick played on the little snots. There just wasn't anything left to conquer. As the weeks and months passed, the Absolute Evil grew ever more reticent and seclusive. From time to time, one could hear a slight murmur from the depressed evil's super-secret laboratory in the depths of the dungeon. Its creatures grew more worried with each passing day, and even started to miss its ingenious evil tricks. It was a somewhat confusing time for them. No beatings, no torture, and no being sent to a senseless death. On the other hand, it was a rather nice change. Eons passed, and the unicorn supply dwindled until suddenly, one wonderful day, the evil genius Evil joyfully burst from its super-secret laboratory. It finally had a new goal. An unknown continent, as often found in sequels, lay to the east, sheltered from the wicked evil by naught but a puny little ocean. It immediately had a fleet built. This was so powerful that it covered the horizon from north to south and was manned by the best and most powerful creatures at the devious evil's command. The fleet set sail for the crossing to this new continent, left the harbor, and sank. Yet that mattered naught to the couldn't give a hoot about its minions Evil. It instructed its goblins and little snots to design an even more powerful fleet. These new ships were gigantic. Loaded with devious Evil's second-best creatures, the fleet set out. And that sank as well. The annoyed Evil saved his relentless anger towards the shipbuilders for later. Obviously, it would have to take care of the matter itself. With a sigh, it cast a spell and created a shadow of itself, a creature of absolute darkness and evilness. This shadow flew across the water towards the east. There, it would find a vessel, a corruptible being that would subjugate this land in the name of evil, and the shadow had the perfect target in mind.
So basically in this cutscene, we've learned two things already. One, your army has absolutely no naval talent whatsoever. And number two, if you, the Absolute Evil, can duplicate yourself at will, it confuses me why you need an army at all if you want to carry out your evil deeds. Just clone yourself over and over again and, what do you know, you've conquered the world. It's possible you just like seeing as many of your minions die horrible deaths as possible. I suppose this would make sense given the whole concept of, well, you being the Absolute Evil.
The great paladin Tanos, hero of the totally Eastern Kingdoms and a repugnantly good fellow. He was visiting the fatiguing library in Tristram with his comrades to see his foster daughter Talia.
Well now, Talia, tell me about your studies. Are you making progress with the writings of the ancient sages?
Yes, dear father, I have thoroughly digested it and have come a step closer to the good. The desire within me to do evil is defeated.
Really? Excellent. I am proud of you, my child. Continue to concentrate on your studies. I must go to Stormbreeze to clear up a few matters. I'll be back soon. In the meantime, my loyal friend Grimly will protect the country. Should anything trouble you, you can turn to him. Isn't that right, Grimly?
Aye, of course, Janos. I'll keep an eye on the damned elf. Your daughter. You can count on me.
Then I'll see you soon, my friends. May the goddess watch over you, and the light burn eternally.
Bon voyage, dear father. I'll make you so proud of me. Who does good is good.
Yuck. Disgusting phrases like that always leave such a nasty taste in my mouth. These abnormally good heroes, on the other hand, had no inkling of the malignity gathered to the south. One moment a herd of sheep was peacefully grazing, and the next moment, whumph! With a fulminant explosive effect that ate up half our special effects budget, the shadow entered the world.
It's moments like these that make me miss the Stanley Parable. For those of you that didn't already know, the narrator here is voiced by the same man who voiced the narrator from the Stanley Parable. This kind of makes me wish for a sequel to the Stanley Parable, if I'm to be honest. There's not a lot of games that do a really good job with fourth wall breaking humor, but both the Stanley Parable and now Dungeons Free seem to do a good job of that, so credit to them.
As the shadow of the unspeakably evil moved through the world, all around it died. Plants withered. Animals perished. Sort of like a picnic with my family.
This map specifically reminds me of MOBAs, like Dota 2 and Heroes of the Storm. While I'm not an expert in the genre, far from, the movement controls, with you the player controlling your creatures by simply clicking on specific areas on the ground to send them there, does feel very familiar.
There's a pile of horse poo around here somewhere. I trod in it earlier. For the darkness! I mean, for the light! Sorry.
Perhaps it's just me, but whenever I look at this shadowy being, it just looks like what would be the demonic offspring of a Dementor from Harry Potter and a Ringwraith from Lord of the Rings. Not something you'd want to see in bright daylight, let alone in a dark alley at night. Not only are the developers poking fun at the Lord of the Rings, but they could help sneak in a Game of Thrones reference or two as well. Not that I'm complaining, of course.
My dear father would be very proud were he with us today. He would be overjoyed to see us give the young and the needy a place to live and thrive. That's why I'm happy to take this orphanage and destroy it utterly, and all of you with it.
I do have to admit, it is surprisingly fun to possess an innocent dark elf, wannabe do-gooder, and turn her into a weapon of incarnate evil. Especially considering she's, on average, even more self-aware than Deadpool.
I feel the power within me. Oh, it's over 9,000!
Unimagined powers surfaced in Talia, the black magic of the Dark Elves. She immediately began to unleash these powers of chaos upon the world.
I'll tear you to pieces!
The Dark Elf raged through Twistrom's inexperienced guards. She thereby built up a tremendous inner energy, which she released into the world as a focus beam, while screaming, Kamehameha! Meanwhile, in the fatiguing library, they waited eagerly with coffee and cake for Talia to show up and open the new orphanage. The energy beam hit the cake with a resounding zap and reduced it to ashes. Oh yes, and the rest of the building and everyone inside it as well. The narcissistic evil patted itself on the shoulder for this. Or it would have, but the metal armor always made such a terrible clunking noise when it tried. But then again, that's what little snots are for. Obviously, the Dispatch Shadow had found a perfect vessel in the Dark Elf. Talia had already earned the title of Employee of the Month, with the utter destruction of the fatiguing library, as well as half of Twistram. The destruction of an orphanage and the bombardment of innocent citizens with magic missiles immediately made her the minion-wasting evil's new favorite henchperson. Her evil deeds complete, Talia withdrew into the vaults beneath the ruins of the fatiguing library. There, between the slaughterhouse and Mad Archbishop Lazarus's apartments, she prepared to create something powerful in the name of the absolutely ultimately evil. A dungeon heart, the cornerstone of any dungeon's power. Far away, Paladin of Light and Talia's former mentor, Tanos, was on his way to the Empire's capital of Stormbreeze. Naive and trusting as he was whistling cheerfully to himself, with no inkling of his foster daughter's dark deeds. Though he was aware that as a dark elf, she always had a core of evil in her. He had hoped to defeat it through religious indoctrination with ancient mad writings. Well, old bean, you thought wrong.
The Shadow of Evil, unlike most tutorial levels, manages to smoothly teach the player many gameplay commands while simultaneously seizing the opportunity to lay out the narrative prologue to the game, providing unnecessary but more than welcome lore. The pacing can be a bit slow, but personally I'm not opposed to that, as it gave me time to master the controls and get a general feel of the game. Moving forward, I am curious to see how the gameplay unfolds now that we've gotten past this tutorial level. But sadly, that does bring us to the end of this episode. If you'd like to see the second episode in this series, feel free to share your opinions down below. What did you think of this episode? Do you want to see it turn into a full series? I'm curious to get your opinions down below in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. It helps me figure out what kind of content you guys enjoy, so that way I can continue making this channel even more fun in the future. If you want to see more walkthroughs like this, or if you want to enjoy my game review series, What Is the Point Of?, hit that subscribe button down below to get my videos delivered to your subscriptions tab on YouTube, and for those of you who have subscribed, hit that gear button down below to opt into getting manual notifications via YouTube or email now. This is WarriorDan signing out. Stay awesome everybody, and peace out.